What's up, everybody? Mr. Vaughn here, and today we are going to be creating the straight toy train track. So go ahead and jump into your toy train document inside of Onshape and launch a Part Studio. All right, once we're in our Part Studio, we're going to create a sketch on our right plane, and we're going to grab our center point rectangle. And we're going to go here to the center point, and we're going to drag out, and it's going to be 3.4 inches wide and 1 inch tall. Once we've done that, it's time to start drawing some other sketches. So this is the image that we are drawing. We have our rectangle. Now we're going to be cutting out these two rectangles, which are going to serve as the track for our wheels to follow. So we're going to put 4 points on this top line, 1, 2, 3, 4. It does not matter where you place them as long as they're on that top line. So I'm going to place 2 on the left-hand side of my y-axis, and I'm going to place 2 on the right-hand side of my y-axis. Sorry, I got the hiccups there. All right, so once I've done that, I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to dimension these, and I'm going to dimension them from this left-hand wall. So from this point to the outside wall, it's 0.4 inches. From this point to the outside wall is going to be 0.75. This third point to the outside wall is going to be 2.65. And the last point is going to be 3 inches from that left-hand wall. Once I've done that, then I'm ready to start cutting out my rectangles. So I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to grab my line tool, and I'm going to draw a line straight down 0.1875 inches. All right, once I've done that, I'm going to slide straight across with my cursor, and I'm just going to come up. I'm not going to push any buttons. I'm just going to let my cursor touch that yellow spot there, drag straight down until I have a horizontal line, and that way I know I'm directly underneath that point. So now I can click and go straight up, connect those dots, and I'm finished with that side. Now I want to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to click this point, come straight down, and when I get even with that other side, it's going to let me know by giving me that yellow line. So I'm going to click that. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to hover over this point, drag straight down till I get those yellow lines letting me know that I am lined up. Click it, straight up, connect the dots, click again, and now I'm ready to trim out my rectangle. So I'm going to choose my trim tool from up here, and I'm going to trim these 2 top lines so that I can hollow out my rectangles. And when I do, I should end up with an image that looks just like this. All right, so if you need to pause the video right here to have your dimensions, go right ahead. Otherwise, we are going to green check this thing and move on to the extrude. So I'm going to right click on my view cube, choose isometric, and I'm going to get rid of my work planes. And then I'm going to extrude. I'm going to do a symmetrical extrude, and I'm going to extrude it 14 inches. And I can green check it. Now what I want to do is I want to start getting ready to, let's see, come back over here. I want to start getting ready to draw these 2. All right, so I have a connector and then I have a slot. So we're going to start with the slot. Okay, so here is the drawing for our slot. We have a 1.5 inch diameter circle that is in the center of our piece, and it's also 1 inch from the end of our block. So we're going to go ahead and create a sketch. We're going to choose the top of our piece, and I'm going to click the top of my view cube to spin it around, and then I'm going to slide this over. All right, center point circle is where we're starting. And I'm going to slide down here until I get that yellow line letting me know that I'm directly in the center of my block. And I'm going to draw a circle 1.5 inches in diameter. Slide this out here so you guys can see the dimension. And now I'm going to dimension my center point, and I'm going to say that from the center point to the very end of my block is going to be 1 inch. But I don't want to click on this center point. I want to make sure that I'm getting that line. So I click that line, and I come up and I just type in 1 inch, and I'm ready to go. Now I'm going to draw a couple of lines. I'm going to draw one above my center point, coming straight out horizontal. And I'm going to draw another one. I'm going to just do the same thing where I just let my cursor touch that, and I'm going to slide straight down. I'm going to draw another one straight across down here. It doesn't matter how long, just so long as they're beyond the end of my train track. Now we're going to dimension it. All right, so from this line to the outside line, that's going to be a distance of 1.375. And from this line to my bottom wall is also going to be 1.375. So now that I've got those where I want them, now I'm going to draw one more line. I'm going to zoom in right here. And where these two lines cross, once I get in that intersection, both lines are going to turn yellow. And I'm going to click, and I'm going to start drawing my line. I'm going to pull it out here so I can see. And then I'm going to come back in until I cross that center line. It's going to turn yellow. Then I'm going to come down, and I'm going to hit that one, and they're going to turn yellow. Once they're both yellow, I'm going to click to finish my line. Now I can start trimming. So I'm going to grab my trim tool, and I'm going to get rid of this line here and this line here because I don't need them. I'm going to get rid of this part of the circle, this line, and this line. And now I'm ready to extrude. Almost. Last step. I'm going to choose my sketch fillet tool. And when I do, I'm going to zoom in because what I want to do is I want to select this corner and this corner. But I'm going to have to select them individually. So I'm going to select this corner first. And yours will probably pop up and say 0.25. Okay, mine says 0.19 because I had already set this once before. So you're going to double click on that, type in 0.19 and hit enter. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing down here, only this time, now that you have already set this one at 0.19, you shouldn't have to set this one. You should just be able to click it. 0.19 should be what it automatically sets itself to. So you hit enter again, and now we have filleted the inside, and we are ready to green check it. So I'm going to slide this out so you can see that this is a 0.19 fillet, and I'm going to zoom out so that you can pause it right here if you need the dimensions. If you don't, green check it, go to isometric mode, and we're ready to extrude. So we're going to extrude, and we're going to tell it to remove, and we're going to remove through all, and we're just going to select that part that we drew, and it's going to cut that hole, and we can green check it, go to isometric, and we've got a nice looking slot for our peg. All right, so now it's time to create another sketch. We're going to create it on top of our part one more time. And this time, we're going to remove a little more than, we're going to remove more than the peg. Okay, so this time, we drew this thing 14 inches long, all right? But this part is actually just under 14 inches because we're going to remove all this material outside of this connector, okay? So we can't just copy and paste this sketch because this hole is 1.5 inches wide, all right, or in diameter. If this is also 1.5 inches in diameter, it will not fit in to this connection hole. So we have to make it a little bit smaller. So let's grab sketch 3 and zoom in here. And now we're ready to get drawing. First thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a 2-inch corner rectangle. So we're going to come up here and grab our corner rectangle tool, and we're going to start at this corner. Oh, I'm in my center point rectangle, so we want to grab a corner rectangle. That corner there comes straight down until I hit that bottom line, and I'm going to tell it I want it to be 2 inches wide. All right, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. And I'm going to grab my center point circle. I'm going to slide around until I hit that center line, which is what I want. And I'm going to draw a circle that is 1.4 inches in diameter. Once I've done that, I'm going to dimension it and tell it I want that center point to be exactly 1 inch from that line right there that we drew. All right, so now we are ready to do the exact same thing that we did on the other end. We're going to grab our line tool. I'm going to click in here and I'm going to draw a line straight into our part. I'm going to do the same thing again below my center point. And I want them to be parallel. All right. And now I'm going to dimension those. So I'm going to look back at my drawing. And what I'm going to see is that this line is 1.4 inches from the edge, and this line is 2 inches from that top edge. All right. So we're going to grab our dimension tool, and we're going to dimension this. We're going to say this is 1.4. And this to the top is going to be 2 inches. All right, now you might be thinking about the other end of our part. And if you remember, it was 1.375 to the top and then also 1.375 to the bottom. And we could have done that. It would have been 1.4 and 1.4, okay? But the reason that we did a little bit smaller dimensions, okay, is because, again, if this was 1.375 inches from the top edge and 1.375 inches from the bottom edge, that wouldn't fit into our slot because it would be the same size as the slot. So there again, it has to be just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to grab my trim tool now, and I can start trimming. So I'm going to trim off the inside here. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of these two lines here. I am not getting rid of this line or any of the others because they are now an enclosed shape, which means that I can extrude and remove all of that, and I will be left with my peg. The last thing that I want to do is I want to do the same fillet that we did on the other end, and it's going to be the exact same measurement. So I'm going to click on that corner. It gives me 0.19, which is exactly what I want. So I'm going to hit enter twice. And then I'm going to click this corner and the same thing, 0.19. So I'm going to hit enter twice. And I am ready to green check that shape. And I'm going to jump into isometric. And now I'm going to extrude. And this time I'm going to do a remove again. And also I'm going to go through all. And I'm going to have to select 3 different faces. So I'll select this outside face, the inside face, and then this outside face over here. And I will be left with that peg, which is exactly what I want. Click my green checkbox, right click, isometric, and we have our straight track. So now the last thing we need to do is we need to rename this thing. So we're going to rename it straight track. And we're going to right click on it again and change the material, assign material. And as always, we're using PLA. So we're going to scroll down till we get to PLA, and then I'm going to green check it. And last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the appearance. And I want mine to look like a wooden track. So I'm going to choose this color right here. You can choose whatever color you want to make your track. And we're going to green check it, and we are ready. Also, don't forget to rename your part studio, call it straight track, and you are finished with your straight track. Good job.